Hey, I'm Ben Silverio.
And I'm Erin Klein.
And I'm Ansel Birch, your host in post.
And it's
time to party.
We are not doctors and we don't give medical advice. Please drink responsibly. This episode was recorded on October 11th of 2020.
Hi, Ben. How are you doing?
Hi, Erin. How are things?
Oh, you know, they're things.
Oh, wait, I had a better question.
I'm ready.
How have you been spending your time?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, I've been reading a lot. I've been reading, like, an insane amount of books. I have 17 books checked out from the library because I'm a wild, crazy person who, anytime I see anything I think is interesting, I'm like, oh, request that hold from the library. And Chicago Public Libraries are like, here you go. There's a limit of 30 active checked out items at the library, which, like, I'm close to, but I've never actually hit. So someday I'll definitely hit it. How have you been spending your time? What have you been up to?
I decided to rewatch all of the Father of the Bride movies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why?
Just one day I was like, oh, I haven't seen Father of the Bride in a long time. I like Steve Martin and Martin Short a whole lot, so
okay.
I figured, why not?
Yes.
So I got 1 and 2 on Blu-ray, and then Netflix just released a part 3
Oh, shit. I didn't
on
know
YouTube.
That.
It's
Cool.
adorable.
Aw. I mean, I love Steve Martin. He's, like, kind of the best.
Absolutely. And, like, a stand-up dude, as far as I know.
That's what it seems like, yeah.
Martin.
Especially we should introduce the movie we're talking about.
Yeah, right? What we're actually talking about today is the cult classic Time Bandits.
Yes, the Terry Gilliam flick. I had never seen this before, so this was a fun viewing experience for me. Yeah, I fucking love Monty Python, so I really enjoyed picking up on pieces of the Monty Python, like, universe inside of this project. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, a lot of Monty Python Easter eggs, a lot of cameos.
Yes, I really, really enjoyed it. Do you want to talk about our drinking and smoking game?
Let's do it.
Woo-woo!
I'll start with a drinking rule. Take a drink every time someone says the word map.
Ooh, that's a lot. That's another. You're good at, like, here's a noises off style drinking game where you only need one rule. If you're only playing with this one rule, that's enough. I appreciate it. I like that. Make it simple.
We'll see.
Efficient.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
So I picked that because I don't have that many rules this time around. So I figured I need a big one that'll keep people consistently drinking if you want to play along.
You know, I think that's a good idea because I also don't have I have I have like 7 or 8 rules, but, like, normally I have a lot. And for this one I found I was mostly just watching. Like, I wasn't even, there were things that I was like, oh yeah, this could make an interesting drinking game. But this isn't really a movie that I think works super well with the drinking game. So I'm interested to see what kind of rules we come up with. Okay, so one of my rules, vague, and it will vary person to person, but take a hit every time you say out loud, hey, that guy! Because I said that about 30 times during this movie. There were so many people that I was like, oh my god, it's that guy! It's like, no, I'm just going to write that one down.
That could apply when you're looking up facts about the movie afterwards and being like, oh, that guy was in it.
Yes. There were so many times that I did that, and I was just like, oh shit, this movie is just fucking stacked top to, which, like, makes sense. It's a Monty Python affiliated movie. Like, George Harrison did the music for this movie too, and is, like, at this point very well connected to the Monty Python boys, so it makes sense that this is teeming with people who want to be part of Terry Gilliam's project. Like, I get it. I would want to be in it too. Especially because it has such an unusual, like, slew of leads. Like, it's not the kind of movie that you would expect right away because it's children and a bunch of little people, and, like, most directors don't treat them as serious subjects, and so to have Terry Gilliam be like, nah, I know all these famous people, and yet here I'm gonna have this, like, collection of people that would not normally be thought of as, like, the leads or lead typical. So I really enjoyed that too. Terry Gilliam is a fucking great director.
He is.
Got another rule for me?
I do. Take a drink when a portal appears or is used.
Ooh, that's a good one. I have a really similar one. I take a hit whenever someone travels through time, so it's kind of the same thing. So you can drink or smoke depending on which one you'd like with that one. Take a hit whenever someone's on fire. happens way more than I was expecting. I wrote it down at the beginning and was like, oh, okay, it's probably a couple people. And by the end, I was like, Jesus Christ, everyone's on fucking fire.
Mm-hmm.
Effective. It's an effective way to get rid of a character. I'm just like, bye.
It is. And my last rule, actually, is take a shot when you meet a historical figure.
Oh, that's a good one.
So there are like 3 main ones. So that's 3 shots during the movie.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I feel like that works out. That's not too many. I also have a drinking rule. I started out as a shot one. I was like, there won't be this many of these. And then I was like, no, this has to be a drink one or everyone will die. Take a drink whenever there's a surprise horse. Again, happens a fucking lot. At the beginning, I was like, oh, surprise horse. Oh, I'll write this down as a shot one. And by the end, I was like, oh, that's a terrible idea to take a shot every time you see a surprise horse. They just like show up all the time. There are a shocking amount of... And, like, there are horses that you expect, and you're like, oh, a horse, okay. I wouldn't count that as a surprise horse. But there are several that just are like, what's up, I'm a horse. I'm in this dungeon. Like, where the fuck did this horse come from? They're very well trained.
I love a well-trained horse.
Love a well-trained horse. Apparently, he was like, I just love this stable and want to give them money. And they were like, we got horses coming out the wazoo for you, Terry. Thanks. We don't got to do coconuts this time.
They moved on up from coconuts.
Yeah, right? They were like, we can afford horses in this movie, and we're fucking going for it. Like, I support you. Do whatever you want. I have 2 more rules.
Okay.
Take a hit every time you see someone who is affiliated with Monty Python, which is a decent number of times that happens. And again, it's a Terry Gilliam flick, so I feel like you should kind of be aware of that kind of stuff. And then my last one is finish your bowl or your drink whenever you see a prosthetic hand. It only happens twice, so I feel like that's a finisher one.
Until you brought that up, I didn't realize that there were that many prosthetic hands.
I know.
In this movie.
When I saw the first one on Napoleon, I was like, oh, okay, okay, cool. That's cool that they included this. But then to see the second one on, like, the big bad at the end, I was like, oh, this is, like, a choice that they made, that it's obviously supposed to be, like, a callback to this other historical villain. Like, I guess historical villains have one hand. I don't know. Not totally sure why that choice was made, but I support it and I liked it. So,
yep.
Yes. Well, that's a pretty good assortment of drinking and smoking rules. I think it's funny that we both were like, I only have a couple for this.
Yep.
But I agree. You could use your noises off drinking game and get fucking trashed by the end of it. So I think it works.
It should be a good time. Watching the movie by itself is a good time, but adding this layer to it, you're going to have a great time.
Yes, I agree. I think that we should say farewell for this episode then, and we will see you on the other side. If you'd like to watch, obviously, if you're listening to this and want to watch Time Bandits before you listen to our next section, I rented it on Prime, which is, I guess, how I watch all of my movies for this podcast, but it is available there, so it's really easy to find.
Yes, it is also available on HBO Max right now.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where I watched it.
Dope.
And apparently Arrow, I think, has a really good Blu-ray edition. It's also released through the Criterion Collection, so there's a number of ways to get Time Bandits on Blu-ray with all the cool bells and whistles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are definitely lots of ways to watch this movie, so we encourage you to do that before you come back for our next episode, where we'll be talking more in depth about the movie and the things that we liked about it.
Yep.
We'll see you then. You can follow me on the internet, on Instagram at NYD_EarnGenC.
And I am on Twitter and Instagram at BSilverio20.
I'm at Indecisionist on Twitter and at The Indecisionist on Instagram. Special thanks to April Moralba for our podcast art and to Marlon Longid of Marlon and the Shakes for our fabulous theme song. This has been an Indecisionist production.
You can interact with the show using the hashtag Time2Party. That's time, the numeral 2, party. Join in on the conversation with us. You know, podcast stuff.
I threw up the number 2 like they could see what I'm doing. And
I did too. I was like, oh yeah, the number 2. You know, this numeral that I'm holding up on this auditory podcast. You know.
Yeah,
podcast
so,
stuff.
So until next time, party on, dudes.
Be excellent to each other.